Pop Punk and Pizza is presented by Pop Punk Takeout, which is a monthly subscription box filled with merchandise from pop punk artists from all over the world. You can sign up at poppunktakeout.com. Follow them on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok at Pop Punk Takeout. And then additional support for this episode comes from sex, drugs, emo, heartbreak, anxiety, and depression. All the good stuff. That's all things you're going to find in our sponsor, Rock Bottom at the Renaissance, an emo kid's journey through falling in and out of love in and with New York City. A long book title, I know, but this is the best-selling mixtape memoir about struggling with mental illness and the power that pop punk and emo can have to help you get through it. So Rock Bottom at the Renaissance isn't just an audiobook, it's an audio experience starring Tyler Posey and featuring 20 songs that include 2 Jimmy Eat World recordings you can't hear anywhere else. And also songs from Dashboard Confessional, Mayday Parade, The Wonder Years, Bayside, Alkaline Trio, and more. You can stay tuned for a clip later on in the middle of this episode. Now, for links to find it at your favorite place to buy books, ebooks, or audiobooks, go to rockbottombook.com. And I definitely suggest getting the audiobook on Audible to hear the way Tyler Posey puts himself into the story, and you feel the way those 20-song, that 20-song soundtrack puts you directly into the story. And, if people think you're weird because you find a way to relate to every single song you hear, or because you play songs on repeat because you're sure that they were specifically written for you, then Rock Bottom at the Renaissance, an emo kid's journey through falling in and out of love in and with New York City isn't just for you. It's about you. So get more info at rockbottombook.com.
I'm going out, I gotta go. I'll bang a rang on the radio. So turn it up, I'm telling you. I think I'm ready for something new. Hey, hello, it's nice to meet ya. Hey, come in and have a slice of pizza. Hey, hello, it's nice to meet ya. Hey, come in and have a slice of pizza.
You're listening to Pop Punk and Pizza with Jacques Lamour.
Hello, good evening. Welcome to Pop Punk and Pizza. I'm, of course, Jacques Lamour. It is so great to have you here this evening, or maybe you're listening to this later on, not watching the live stream right now. Just in case you missed the memo on that, we do stream our episodes, their episode recordings live every single Wednesday at 7 p.m. Central Time on our Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch accounts. Or you can just, listen to the episode on the podcast platform of your choice the following Thursday. So today on the show, we're going to be talking to Matt Burns, who is the owner and manager of SmartPunk Records. I am super stoked to have him here because it turns out he has never been on a podcast before, and the fact that Pop Punk and Pizza is going to be his first one is just super exciting for me. It's really an honor. So we're going to bring Matt on here in just a little bit. But first, before we talk to Matt Burns, we are going to welcome Halfway Atlantic, who is out of Austin, Texas. We have Patrick, we have Paul, we have Matt, we have... And,
I see what you're doing here.
And we have Matt. There's so many. I didn't realize. You know what? How did I not
three
realize?
Matts in your show.
Yeah,
Three
I was
Matts.
going to say, I don't know how in the world I didn't realize beforehand that there were 2 Matts in Halfway Atlantic. I don't know how, because we talked before we went live, and I don't know how I didn't make that connection. And then Matt Burns later on is going to be on the show. So
this sounds like a problem of the baby naming industry of several decades ago.
Well, see, that's why
someone didn't
go,
coordinate.
Exactly, and that's why I go by Jacques instead of Jake, because there are
I will be our drummer.
Hello.
If you were in A Tale of Two Cities, that would be actually a bigger problem than it is here in America.
I mean,
Actually hung up.
there are so
I'm not home.
There are just so many Jakes that are right around my age, and that 30, year old bracket. So it's like
Another baby
I just,
naming smash up.
yeah. So I just got sick of it. So that's how the whole Jacques thing started. But anyway, you guys didn't come here to talk about the terrible baby name fiasco. We're here to talk about Halfway Atlantic, which it's crazy to think that you guys are going to be hitting the road and doing a nice tour of your home state of Texas here in just a little bit. Like that word tour.
Yeah.
That word
Yeah,
tour
we can't
is
believe
like,
it either.
whoa.
It feels unreal because we haven't played since March 4th, 2019. No, 2020, right? 2020. 2021,
Yeah.
2020. But like, it feels unreal.
Yeah. I mean, that's well, not quite a year and a half, but not far from it. I know this tour is starting it's 2 weeks from now, right?
Yep.
Luckily, yeah.
Yeah, with
Yeah.
with the Big Smile out of Ohio, who has been on the
Yeah.
show before.
Yeah, they're awesome.
Have you guys toured with Big Smile?
We've not.
No. Okay. Have you guys played shows together?
Nope, this will be our first.
Oh man. Okay. So this
Yeah,
It's a
we're
blind date. What's
we're
funny,
all really
it's
stoked.
a total blind date. But it totally works because we cut this trailer for both bands. And essentially our manager thought that it was the same band. He was like, shit, actually listening to that trailer is like, this is just one song. And we're like, yeah, I guess.
I
So
think
it
the
actually
songs
works out
happened
well.
to be in the same key, and we tuned our guitars the same way. It was really remarkable.
So
I think it just points to the predictability of the genre sometimes.
Or that we're just really obsessive blind daters.
So you're talking about the trailer for the tour announcement? Is that what you're talking
Yeah.
about?
Yeah, so you'd have this like sort of like ad, right? Targeted ad where you have like a video
Yeah.
sort of cut together, like like a video of them, video of us, video of them, and then the tour poster and the dates, and like it's all like with music, and it just kind of goes from one song into the other, and it's just like
That was
oh,
now.
shit.
Now people don't need to watch it, Matt. You just
Yeah, it's been
spoiled the whole
perfectly
thing.
described.
Well,
Well, no. I'm definitely gonna go back and watch it because I was like, I guess I don't remember that, but now I'm gonna be specifically listening. Did you know that when? Well, who edited? Did one of you guys edit the video together? And
I did it.
and did you guys know ahead of time that you chose songs in the same key, or did it just happen?
No, I actually cut it with a different song, and then we switched the songs, and I wasn't paying attention when I switched it, and same key. So cool.
That is funny. Well, at least it flows together well, right?
yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
you've got that going for you. So I'm not sure if I'm allowed to. Am I allowed to say the title of your upcoming single, or is that still on the DL?
I think the
Let's
cat's
talk
out of the
about
bag
it.
on that. Am I right?
Yeah,
Let's talk about it because we're gonna release a trailer tomorrow, anyways. That sort of gives out the title of the song. So
We're really
we
big
got-
on trailers.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
These
well-
days,
We made the
when you
trailer before we recorded the song, actually.
with the song in mind. It's like, oh, we got
a
this
song
cool
for 30
intro.
seconds and call it done.
Yeah.
I mean, there are people that do that, which is weird in my opinion. But I just wasn't sure. So I'm safe if
Yeah.
I say the song title. That's
Absolutely.
cool. Okay,
At
so
least from us. I don't know about anyone else.
well, so Back to Austin is the new single. It comes out July 9th. And I was I love I got to see the lyric video for this, which is pretty cool. But even that little trailer, the little teaser that you guys put out for it recently, I just love that opening with the little old-fashioned,
The archival footage.
yeah, the archival footage and the old TV set, It reminds me of an old black and white TV set that I once had, and it looked almost like that. The antenna on it worked and everything. It was so cool. I'm curious. Take us on a journey into your minds on what Back to Texas is about.
Should we talk about the trailer first and about the intro scene, and then
Oh
talk
my
about the
God.
song? Because the interesting, I didn't know this, Pat. Right, this is an actual movie from the 80s. I'm not American. I have no idea about these things.
It's
This is a
just this like
movie, right?
old. It's just like old public archival like footage of like the tour of Austin. It's like an hour long.
Like board of tourism stuff, right? Like,
yeah, totally.
From when you said?
I think from like the late 70s, early 80s.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
It's like Austin, a friendly city. Come here.
Back when you had to
Austin.
encourage people to come to Austin.
I was gonna
Exactly.
say,
Back when Austin
and
was
now,
like-
and now
it's
there's
like-
quite a movement to encourage people not to move to Austin.
I was gonna say,
because-
it's like, stay away. We don't want you here. There's enough people here.
And you know what's funny about speaking of Austin and stuff? Like, who's from Texas, really, right? So we're this band. None of us none of us are from Texas,
What?
essentially.
Okay, so one of you at least has to be from Texas.
Jake,
Jake
sort of.
is-
Yeah, the guy's not here.
Jake, yeah.
I like that. Jake, who is not
Gives us
here,
street credibility.
is from Texas.
Gives us street credibility.
Well,
I make
he's
up
too
for
cool
it by
for a
coming from-
podcast. He's too cool for a
Exactly.
podcast. That's how you know he's from Texas.
Exactly. And we're so like hip because you're from California and shit. No, but I make up for it by being from Journey. But it's kind of funny. Like in
That
Texas,
doesn't make up for anything.
most people I know are that makes up for really bad shit most of the time.
That's true.
But also interestingly, like all my friends, like probably 80% are not Texans.
It is a
Straight
little.
out.
It is getting a little uncommon.
So
Yeah.
what you're telling me is that it is possible in this, well, I guess it doesn't matter what age it is, but you're telling me you can successfully say your band is from X city and be all completely from somewhere else. You know,
It's a lot easier than saying that our band's from
Pretty much.
Germany, San Diego, Maine, Tennessee, and Texas.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fewer words. We
Paul,
like
you-
to be concise when we can.
How long have you lived in Texas, Paul?
13 years.
Yeah. Quite long.
So I would have seniority if it weren't for Jake.
okay.
That
So
fucking
Jake,
guy.
so Jake is born and raised, I take it, from Texas, or he's just been there the longest out of. So Paul, you actually do live in Texas currently.
We all do.
You all do. Are you? I'm so confused.
No,
We're just from
Texas.
different places.
not
It's an
from-
effect
we
of the
moved there.
in-migration, which I'm not against, by the way. Come to Austin, move here. I don't mind at all. Don't listen to those other bastards. Come to Texas, bid up our property prices. It all just makes me smile.
Okay, so you
Grab
actually
an
are all.
$800,000 house. Have a good time.
$100,000 above asking. Yeah, we love it.
So you're just not from Austin, is what you guys are saying.
Yeah, we're just not natively from Texas.
Wow, that
The
either,
band is from Austin.
that just like went over my head completely. I feel like
Yeah, we do that a lot.
I just had like the biggest blonde moment ever. Or yeah. Anyway,
But hell no,
besides-
we're not Texan. I
You're
know.
blonde?
The mustache might say otherwise.
Oh God. So with back to Austin though.
Mhm.
I mean, listening to the lyrics, it's
What the hell is
it's-
that hat?
Yeah, what kind of hat is that?
That's something pretty I found in here.
Matt
Oh my
is
God.
donating
Yeah, visual humor works really well.
donating a
Okay.
hat over here.
Certainly not a
gardening.
cowboy hat.
That looks like a lady's church
Oh
hat.
yeah. It's like a lady's. It's got some type of flower.
Goes really well with the
flower
shirt
on it.
too.
Thank you.
Yeah,
This is my tour outfit actually.
Yeah, you should wear that at a show.
you should.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yes,
All right.
absolutely.
It's-
So let's
it's
continue.
good.
We're not
It's good.
natively from Austin. I wear shitty hats.
But let's talk about like I said, Back to Austin, the new single coming out July 9th. It's easy to think, and maybe it is. Maybe this is a relationship song. It's about a girl. It's a breakup song, or some type of relationship. At least that's what I got out of it. Especially the line. I think it's "I'm coming back to Texas, but not for you." And was just curious to know, because that to me was like a hard hitting lyric that stood out. Like, yeah, I'm coming back, but fuck you. Like, I'm not coming back for you if that's what you think. So so take me to where Back to Texas takes the audience.
That's actually asked whenever he goes to Germany and he's coming back. He's like, I'm coming back to Austin, but fuck you guys.
No, I think in a way it's a couple of things. So it's on one hand an ode to modern dating that has become so fast paced, that relies so much on, like not flakiness, but not sealing the deal, not really being committed, and sort of like forgetting people, and then like you being hit up at 2 a.m. and and that's either boy or girl or them. Any in any relationship there, we probably find this today, that it's so fast paced, and in a way, sure, that's how it's become. But for some people, it's also unhealthy, and a lot of people are struggling with it. And I felt like I had enough stories around me that sort of gave me the inspiration for this on one hand. And then on the other hand, it's also about habits, right? We've all had these things where we leave, we embark on a journey, we go, like whatever, we live in a different city for 2 months, we go to Europe for the summer, we visit with our grandparents or our best friend, for a month, and we come back and we're like, I'm coming back home, and like this aspect of my life will change. Whether this is something as little as like, I'll smoke less weed, or I'll drink less, right? Or something as big as like, I have to cut this person off because it's not good for me anymore. So it's about a lot of things. And I think that sort of gives us, or gave me here lyrically, the inspiration to go that way.
So what brought you to Germany? Was it just a vacation, or you have family out there?
Oh, yeah. So I'm originally from Germany. So
Okay.
born and raised and everything. And yeah.
Wow.
So it's just essentially about like going back and forth and doing, all these things and traveling, and yeah.
So are your parents actually German, or
Oh yeah, born and raised,
He's German.
everything.
Okay.
I'm 100% German. I only.
He's German. Look at him.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean-
Look at me.
I feel like
Sorry,
I gotta
Matt.
get a close up. Gotta get a close up of him again. I mean, yeah, he definitely looks German. Matt, you
Oh,
do look
totally,
German.
right?
Yeah.
Totally.
Look at
Look at
that
this guy.
Bavarian
Yeah.
man meat. Oh my
That-
god.
6'3", tall. No, no. Originally born and raised and everything. I lived in the U.S. for 1 year in high school, sort of like the exchange student scenario. Then I lived in the U.S. for another year when I was 24. I'm actually as an exchange student at the University of Texas, where I met Paul. Paul was actually my roommate back then.
Oh
Hey,
wow.
Matt.
Yeah, so this is
Matt,
super cool.
How tall
Yeah.
are you in meters?
190.
No one knows what that means, Matt.
Und ich spreche auch
No one
Deutsch
knows what that
übrigens.
means.
Ich kann das auch auf Deutsch alles erklären. Und dann war ich eben 1 Jahr in Austin, ja. Und I should do this in English, right? Okay.
Yeah.
So,
You know what?
and then
Do
I went
you,
back
Matt.
to Germany, and I came back to Austin like 4 years ago. So that's my story. Born,
But
raised.
he wasn't
everything.
there for me.
Exactly.
190 centimeters is what you said?
Precisely, sir.
That is 6.2336 foot.
Oh my
Or feet.
god.
Well,
So there you go. Thank you, Google.
Jacques, you just did that to make me look bad.
you broke my heart. You know how many people I told them like 6'3", bro? Like.
I mean, it's pretty close,
Okay,
I
let's
mean-
just round up.
You're on your way to 6'3". I mean,
When I
He's
wear
still a
my
growing
heels,
boy.
nobody notices.
He's still a growing
Oh, he's
boy.
good.
He
he's
eats
still
a lot
he's a
of
grown
bratwurst.
he's a and
I'm only
pizza.
16. I'm only 16.
He wears the mustache to look older.
Yeah, I wear this so I can get into clubs, so that we can actually play shows.
So
because
you can
people
play
are like,
shows.
dude, your singer
Yeah.
can't play.
So
He's.
Usually they say I can't play.
We have to pay a fee whenever we play shows, a minor fee for me,
because
Oh my
because
God.
you're so tall, or because you're German?
because I'm 16.
Because you're 16.
Any reason it can't be both.
Oh, you guys are killing me.
All right, moving on.
So, are there going to be any potential shows in the future where Halfway Atlantic plays in Germany, or has that happened already?
Yes, very yes. I
Okay.
turn the floor over to Matt.
Back to
No,
Matt.
I mean, so the thing is, I played actually in a couple of bands in Germany. So Halfway Atlantic is not like, like you're not like 30 and suddenly you're like, hey, let's play some music. I've never done it before. But yeah,
mean,
still, yeah, I mean, awesome if you do that, right? But it's kind of like more the scenario where you're 30, you're still stuck in your 20s, and you're like, shit, I need to play music because otherwise I'm fucked in my head. So that's sort of the scenario how Halfway Atlantic was born. Yes, the plan is to go to Germany in 2022 next year. It's been hard. I mean, this year Europe is a little bit different in terms of vaccinations, and they're also a little bit more, careful and restrictive with a lot of things. So I don't see this happening this year because I know, in fact, that all the venues are sort of booked up and they already like block dates, right? And then they
Yes.
blocked those dates for this summer initially in last year, and then now they moved it from the summer to the winter. So it's definitely going to be 2022, and it's a huge plan of ours to do this because it's so nice because you never have to drive more than an hour and a half or two. Unlike in Texas, which is still fucking big, that you just drive half a day to get more from one city to the other. Have I complained about this before?
But that's the beauty of Texas. It's like its own country,
I knew I knew there had to be something.
And also, say it's no autobahn in Texas, yeah?
Just kidding. I love Texas. Every 2-lane highway is an autobahn in Texas. You've seen how we drive.
There you go. I love Texas, man.
I love it too.
Yeah, it's a beautiful, beautiful state.
You've
so
been?
yeah,
Jack,
yes.
have you been to Texas?
I have been to Texas. It's been a long time, but I spent a couple weeks out there touring, selling a merch for a band that was doing a bunch of. Well, actually, it was 2 different tours, and they both routed through Texas. So it was like a week from each tour was literally in Texas, kind of like how you guys are doing with this run coming up in July. But yeah, and I miss it. I've been wanting to go back ever since. So
come back, let us know. You
Yeah.
have a home.
Yeah,
and
thank
you
you.
get the best recommendations for tacos and drinks.
Perfect.
You can stay at Pat's place.
Yeah, come on over.
That sounds awesome. So we gotta I gotta wrap it up here with you guys now. So I'm looking at the tour dates. Tour with Big Smile of Texas starts July 16th and it runs through July 23rd. You're hitting Houston, Corpus Christi, Brownsville, San Antonio, Austin, Dallas, and Odessa. So people need to get on that. Also, what other things you guys want to plug before you hop off?
The new song coming out July 9th. It's called Back to Austin. It'll be available everywhere. What else? Matt, are you?
What are your
Can I say
socials?
Pat?
What do we got for
Pat,
socials?
you want to say hi to your dad?
Hey, Dad. Yeah, we're on. It's Halfway Atlantic, Bandcamp, Twitter, Instagram. We just started TikTok.
Hey,
Don't know how that.
Yeah, we're on TikTok too. It's not going well, but we're there.
TikTok is just like you need to learn it. You're like 30 and you're like, I have no idea what I'm doing.
Yeah,
right?
I think that's
The first step though, we're there.
yeah, that's all of us right now. We're like, I'm trying, and yeah, we're all getting laughed at right now.
I mean, I don't know if anyone in the band is ridiculous enough for TikTok, and that is saying something.
Well,
We're
Because
pretty
we are
nuts.
some ridiculous motherfuckers. I don't know if you noticed.
I did notice that. I mean, you'll get there eventually. I thoroughly believe in you guys. Your TikTok inspiration
We're still growing.
Will come out. You're still growing. Yeah.
Once Matt comes of age, 17,
But shouldn't I
maybe
be
18.
at my prime age for fucking TikTok right now? I mean,
All right, get on it.
Oh man.
yeah, I already
Yeah, man.
developed the
You're a
dance.
Zoomer. You should know how to do this shit.
All right. Well, it was great meeting both Matt and Paul and Patrick. Halfway Atlantic. Thank you guys so much for being on.
Thank you, Jock.
Thank you, Jacques.
Thank you so much for having us.
And and come back. And when you're in the Chicago area, I'm going to try to come out to a show. So that'll be a good time.
Hell yeah.
Thank you. And say hi to
Awesome.
Matt
Thank you.
in a second.
Yeah, we're gonna say hi to Matt in this in a second. So, you guys have a great rest of the night.
Merci,
All right,
Jacques.
thank you.
All right, thank you.
Bye bye.
Bonne nuit.
All right, Halfway Atlantic. We'll give them a round of applause. That was that was a lot of fun and super interesting. So thank you to them for being on, and make sure you check out their new single, Back to Austin, which comes out July 9th, and then their tour of Texas starts July 16th with Big Smile, who has also been on the podcast. Just a quick reminder that we are presented, Pop Punk and Pizza Podcast is presented by Pop Punk Takeout, which is a monthly subscription service that literally puts all kinds of cool merchandise from pop punk artists from all over the world into a pizza takeout box. And they also have a smaller version, which is like a little Chinese food box takeout. And they do this monthly. They fill it up with merchandise from amazing bands from all over the world. They send it directly to your door. So if you want to learn more and sign up today, go to poppunktakeout.com. And you can also follow them on Facebook, Instagram and TikTok at Pop Punk Takeout. And then additional support for this episode also comes from Mike Henneberger and his mixtape memoir, Rock Bottom at the Renaissance. It's narrated by Tyler Posey, the audiobook is. And here's a clip from Rock Bottom at the Renaissance. This is what you can expect from the audiobook. And after we play the clip, then we're going to get to Matt Burns of SmartPunk Records.
I didn't want to be alone anymore. Not that I ever wanted that in the first place. I bought a pack of cigarettes, found the quietest side street I could find, sat in the first ledge I came to, lit one up, and put this Jimmy Eat World song on repeat. I'm not a smoker, but I smoked 3 cigarettes before giving in to the anxiety of my weekend running out and this book not being finished. The anxiety was enough to get me back to the hotel, but the depression was enough to keep me from going back to the room. Going back to the room meant being alone again. So I wandered the lobby, high on speed, drunk on scotch, tweaked out a bit from the overdose of nicotine I just had, and I looked for a girl. I knew I wasn't going to find another the girl and some excited tourist in a Times Square Renaissance hotel lobby, but I wasn't looking for the girl. I just wanted some company. I don't want to die tonight, so maybe I was also looking for someone who would be there to dial 911 just in case. The lobby was understandably dead. Most people who stay in a hotel in Times Square probably don't spend much time in that hotel. I had one last hope, the hotel bar. I can buy an overpriced drink or two if it means that I don't have to feel this alone in my last dying hours. Surely, if anyone was drinking in a Times Square hotel bar on a Sunday, they would be as lonely as I am. The bar was fucking dead too. Not only am I alone, I'm alone in my loneliness. I sat down for a drink anyway. I took out my cell phone and set it on the bar, honestly thinking that I wanted to make sure I could see it just in case the girl texted.
I can picture your face well from the bar in my hotel. I wish I'd go to you. I'll pick up, put down the phone like your favorite Hedonizer song goes. It's just like being alone.
I can picture your face well from the bar in my hotel. I wish I'd go to you. I pick up, put down the phone like your favorite Hedonizer song goes. It's just like being alone. Sometimes I don't even have to try to make a song relevant. No texts. The bar is closer to the ground floor than the floor that my room is on, so I figured I should probably have another cigarette before I get further away from the only place I can smoke. I walked out, put my headphones in, and lit up. Same song over and over. I'm starting to realize that maybe I am a bit delusional. I've waited all weekend for the girl to call or text, and even though nothing has come, I still wait. I still hope. But that's just this weekend. I waited years for us to have a chance. And in that time since we got that chance, I've waited for her to think, believe, that it was the last chance either of us ever needed.
Oh God, please don't tell me this has been in vain. I need answers for what I've been waiting out.
A clip of the audiobook Rock Bottom at the Renaissance, narrated by Tyler Posey. You can go to rockbottombook.com to find all the links to where you can find the audiobook. And also, you can get a physical copy of the book if you wish as well. So, our next guest tonight is making his podcast debut, which I'm super stoked about. Let's give a big round of applause to Matt Burns from SmartPunk Records.
Howdy.
Hey, Matt, how are you, man?
I'm doing very well. I love the applause. It makes me feel very comfortable, so thank you for that.
Of course, man. I still just can't get over that you've never been on a podcast. I mean...
So I will retrace back on that. So we had a very short-lived podcast that I actually narrated.
Oh, okay.
And the whole premise was this was, I think, a little bit after Absolute Punk had kind of gone away for a bit, and me and the other SmartPunk guys were like, oh, there's no central hub where you can just quickly skim and get today's news or what happened in the last 24 hours. So that's kind of what we were doing. Well, I would just scour all these different blogs and Twitter and everything, and oh, this band released a song, this person's going on tour, whatever it may be, and would record it and edit it and put it up quickly. And I think I did it for not that long. So this is the first podcast where I'm getting to talk to someone else. So this is very, very nice. I like this.
Cool. Thanks, man. Yeah. I'm so glad that you were all set to do this, because SmartPunk is such a cool label, and
thank you.
You're welcome. And the label itself seems to be doing so well. You work with so many incredible artists, from the more well-known artists to the lesser-known artists that are super talented and deserve that support. And I mean, I feel like SmartPunk has just been really killing it.
Thank you.
The further along the label goes, it just seems to be getting better and better and better. Your releases are cooler and cooler and more on the limited end of things. And like I said, the smaller artists you book are really good. So it's I feel like I just see your name all over the place. So that's why I was.
We pay a lot of people to just say our name. We're trying to get trending on Twitter. It hasn't worked yet, but
well, you're trying to get 1,776 beers.
PBRs.
PBR, yeah.
Pabst Blue Ribbon. If you're listening to this, I'm going to tag you after this so you listen. We'd like to drink beer, and we'll take your beer, and we will enjoy your beer every day. If we're able to, why not?
You heard it here first. I mean, it's funny you say that, because I have always said, and I know I've said this numerous times on the podcast, that PBR is like the beer of punk rock. I feel.
Oh, absolutely.
So go ahead.
Oh no, I was gonna say, we have a festival here in Florida called The Fest. And it's just a bunch of punk bands from all over the world, a bunch of people from all over the world, and PBR would always sponsor it. And I just remember never really having PBR until I started going to the fest. And then it was it flowed like water. Everyone just had a tall boy in the hand, and I would crush 9 of them and just be all right, well, now I'm going to see the Menzinger. I was walking across Gainesville for 1.5 miles to see him at a small bar or something. It's the fuel for a lot of punk memories, I would say, which is great.
Yeah.
There's a lot of cool companies that are I don't want to say bigger than punk, but are very, they have their hands in a lot of punk things, like PBR or Liquid Death or Vans, that have a lot of background in punk, you know what I mean? And even as far as Nike and shit like that, it's really cool to, as now an older person who's not just seeing everything in the world, but kind of knowing how the sausage is made, being oh, it's so cool. This person that used to be in that band is now director of marketing for whoever. And
right.
You can tell they are doing some cool shit behind the scenes and making this brand still have that punk rock ethos and stuff like that. I think that's super awesome. So
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of when I talked to Cody of Anchor 84 Records on the podcast. He was talking about when he worked for Epitaph, one of his jobs was to like preview the demos and comb through the demo submissions, and then if he thought something was good, then he would pass it to someone, higher up.
right.
And he said he ended up listening to, and I can't remember the guy's name at Pure Noise Records. I think it was Pure Noise. But anyway, like his band at the time, like he had his demo from Epitaph.
That's
and
awesome.
and now he's got Pure Noise. Like it's
Yeah.
just, you know what I mean? It's funny how that stuff works out.
We all cut our teeth from the same cloth. It's really cool, and that's part of the most exciting part about doing all this is just meeting the people that I've come across over the years of just being involved with music and being like, oh shit, you're still here too. Like this is awesome. Like I know I'm gonna love working with you in this capacity because it's like we used to high five each other before going to shows like when we were 13 and stuff like that. So it's really crazy to just kind of like grow together and see like the scene evolve and change. And, this is coming from a 33-year-old person, but like, I'm sure it's still that way for the younger generation. It's like, they're going to grow up with each other and hopefully like still do the same cool shit and just like make the world a better place by keeping that spirit alive,
Yeah, exactly. So how does the formation of SmartPunk begin? Where does it start?
That is a very good question and has a very elaborate answer. So SmartPunk as a whole was from yesteryear, like Warped Tour, like sponsoring Warped Tour stages, putting out comps. Like
yeah, that's what I remember. Yeah.
Yeah. Like I saw The Bled and Under Oath and Seosin on like the SmartPunk stage at Warped Tour. And that's kind of like what I remember. It changed. It was a website where people would pre-order CDs and like bands would have their merch and stuff like that. Fast forward a couple of years, our parent company, AKT, which is like a merch printing company, bought it out, and we're kind of like, we don't really know what to do with this, more or less, and started to do a YouTube show where bands would come in, they'd interview them, they'd play acoustically, and we were doing that for a little bit. And then that kind of died out and SmartPunk kind of went away. And then Grant, who's actually the owner of SmartPunk, him and my buddy Jordan, who works for AKT, were like, oh, let's just do like a reissue label. Like, we'll be a buddy label and like we'll reissue like old punk records that haven't seen the light of day in forever. And this was back in 2005, I want to say.
Okay. So you guys were just kind of getting on that whole reissue wave before like everyone else was doing it.
Yeah, I mean, I think SRC was doing some stuff around then, and it was just like we're all vinyl dorks. I mean, we had been doing it for a while, like collecting records and like buying records off eBay for $300 does not feel good.
No, it doesn't.
Yeah, and we've all been there and done that, and we're like, man, it would just be cool to like sorry for the person who's trying to flip this record, but it'd be cool to like just be able to get this record for $20 at a store or something like that, or $20 online.
Right.
So I think the first, and this was even before me, the first thing they did, I think, was Game Face is Good. And around the same time, they did the Set Your Goals Mutiny reissue. Protagonist was one of the first bands. Teenagers were a couple like the early releases. It was mostly friends bands that we've just known forever, all being like Florida homies. And these reissues. And then they were also vending at like Wrecking Ball and Riot Fest and like kind of bringing their distro out there so people could kind of shop at the record store while they're at these festivals. And I come into the picture, I think it was 2017 or I think it was 2017. I was just asked if I want to like come to Riot Fest and see the show for free and help run the table because everyone wanted to go see all these bands. It's like we don't have enough people to work. And I was like, fuck yeah, why not? Like I work at Starbucks. I would love to just like go see a dope ass show in Chicago and hang out.
Yeah.
So I did that, and it worked really well, and we all clicked a lot. And I started like doing mail order and doing like some graphic design stuff. And from that, it's like, okay, well now like help us build a new website and like do the newsletter. And I started kind of doing that and getting a little bit more involved while still working at Starbucks. And then they're like, okay, well, we want to like start signing bands. We like, there's a lot of like cool bands that we still know locally that we'd love to like help grow, and some cool bands nationally, regionally, whatever, that we really think deserve a shot. And we want to kind of like help them with that, help them find their footing, help them figure themselves out. And we think that you would be really good at that. I was like, well, I have no idea what the fuck I'm doing. So yeah, why not? And I still don't know what I'm doing.
I'm the perfect man for the job.
Yeah, exactly. Just throw me in, coach. It's going to be great. But yeah, it was kind of like, I mean, I've done everything aside from like being on the business side of it. I was in bands. I had a venue that I ran with my dad in South Florida. I worked at a recording studio. I tour managed. I did merch. But I had never like been on the other side of like a record contract or anything. So it was really exciting. Just because it's like, I know how scary being on the other side of the contract could be, or being the band who's like trying to pitch yourself to a label and what that feels like. So I'm trying to like, and we all have, I mean, we've all been in bands. We're all still in bands actively.
Right.
Right. And we try to remember that of like, hey, like we're all, we know what you're kind of going through. We don't want to screw you over. We don't want you to like not be able to make money doing this, because I mean, this should be your job. Like this should be your career. You're on the road. You need to make money. And that's kind of like what the MO for SmartPunk is like, we really want to help our band succeed, help our bands figure themselves out, and kind of get to that next level of like where they should be. And it's just been a fun experiment, more or less, of like, let's see what works. Let's see what doesn't. Let's try to learn from our mistakes. Let's meet a bunch of friends and like do cool shit. We're trying to do some split 7 inches and split records. We got to do a Less Than Jake reissue last year, which during COVID was an absolute nightmare.
Yeah, we can get into that too. I would love to hear about that.
For sure.
Veronica has a question from Pop Punk Takeout. She wants to know, what's your favorite record aesthetically and musically, like A and B? Which is a really good question, because obviously you're a record man, so it's like, you know.
Yeah, that's so hard to really pinpoint. Aesthetically, I really fell in love with Paper and Plastics packaging when they were like first doing stuff, and I was like, dude, everyone needs to be doing this stuff. Everyone needs to be doing die cut gatefolds and like doing really cool splatters and colorways, and like the way that Vinny's artistic mind is just absolutely brilliant. Even to this day, like going into his tattoo shop in Gainesville, it's just like really fucking awesome. So I get a lot of my ideas, and a lot of people are doing really cool stuff now. There's like Unoriginal Vinyl, Wax Mage is doing beautiful color records. So many people are doing so many cool releases that it's like exciting and hard to keep up. And like, how do I do like the next cool thing? Like people are doing the gel filled records or sand filled or glow in the dark records, and it's like, it's awesome. I mean, it's
so
a cool problem to like be in. Yeah. Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
So I really love Enjoy the Ride was doing, I think they were the first ones that I ever saw do like liquid filled records. It was either them or Mondo. And I think aesthetically, like that just knocked me on my ass. I think it was like I forget which one was like the first one I saw. It might've been the Alien one. It was like the green goo in the record. I'm just like, how
Yeah,
is
how
this
is
a
that
thing?
even? I was gonna say, how is that even possible? And I'm sure the cost must be through the roof. Like that must
Oh yeah,
cost
I
so
mean,
much.
it's technically you have two records where it's like you have the side A of record one and side B of record two, and you have to glue them together and fill it and make sure that it doesn't leak and make sure it doesn't ruin the record. I mean, it's like
Oh my god.
the engineering behind it is absolutely brilliant, and it's just like awe-inspiring.
Yeah, that's crazy. And then yeah, musically, what's your favorite record?
I would love to do something like that one day.
Oh yeah. Oh, definitely. Yeah, I mean, and I'm sure you guys will.
Musically, that's hard. I mean, just because over time everything has changed. I would, if I had to pick one record that I like, no matter what, I can kind of just go back and put on and be transferred to a time and a place of just like peak awesomeness, I would probably say Blink-182's "Take Off Your Pants and Jacket," which Blink-182 Day I saw on
I was
your
just gonna
post.
say, yeah, I was just gonna say, it's funny you say that.
Yeah, it's but yeah, I mean, I was already listening to Blink-182 by then, but this was just like, and I always go back and forth of like, what's my favorite Blink record, and it depends on the day, you know what I mean? But
Right.
there's songs on that just like hit me and make me feel like I'm 16 again, or
Yeah.
I guess 13 when that record came out. I don't remember.
That was 2001.
One,
right?
yeah. So I was
Yeah.
13,
Okay.
which is time, whatever, you know.
That's and that's like the perfect. That's like the age, you know, like that's the
Yeah. And I don't
Yeah.
want to sound like cliche, but that was like the age of like figuring myself out, and like that was the soundtrack of the summer, and
Yes.
like, you know, seeing Rock Show on MTV, and I mean, to this day, listening to Every Time I Look for You and the last chorus comes in and Tom's just strumming the octave chord and like the rest of the band is just going through it, is like it makes the hair stand up on my arms, and I'm just like, how did they do it? Like Jerry Finn's production on it's great. Like it's a masterpiece. But I mean, Jimmy Eat World, I love. American Nightmare, Give Up the Ghost was like the first hardcore band I ever listened to, and like that got me into hardcore. No Effects got me into punk. I mean, there's so many things that kind of like got me into what I'm into. And I mean, even now, like so many good bands are putting out so much good music. I mean, the Dogleg record from last year, I still listen to weekly, and it's just like, it's so aggressive. It just like makes me want to like jump through a window in the best way. Yeah, it's hard to be in an industry where it's like you have to listen to music every day and still find enjoyment at
Yeah.
it like all the time. But when you do, it's just like, oh, this is golden.
Yeah.
So I would, there's a lot of stuff. I mean, I'm listening to like Ellie Goulding. I'm listening to
Ellie
everything.
Goulding has some
1975.
I love Ellie Goulding because almost every single she puts out, because I work as a radio host on a top 40 station,
Mhm.
so I really only hear her singles, and I always fall in love with the guitar parts in her
Yeah.
songs. Like the guitar riffs are usually super good. Whoever
Mhm.
whoever she's writing
I think she
with-
writes it all.
Does she?
I know that
was
she
wondering.
used to like write everything.
Uh-huh. Yeah. I don't know, but the guitar riffs are usually
Yeah, because
really
I think she used
good.
to like write and record everything.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah.
No,
I
what
don't
were
know.
you gonna say?
I love music. It's
Yeah.
no, I was just gonna say like this. It's such a hard question for me, and it's like depending on the day, it will be something different that I love.
Right.
So
Yeah. Veronica's giving me shit. One time I said pop punk sucks. I say that from time to time as a joke.
I agree. I agree. It sucks. It's the worst, and it's the worst thing that ever happened to me.
Yes, and going back, I believe Richard was. He said the last chorus is a banger. I think he was talking about
yeah.
the Blink, the every time I look for you, the
Every
sun
time I
goes
look
down.
for
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I love about pop punk is how they can take something so simple like that and just make it so powerful.
Oh
And
yeah.
that's the beauty of it, you know. That's why I love the genre so much. It's
Yeah,
just
and
things like that.
I've been going back and like listening to Ramones records and Misfits records and like Mr. T Experience stuff and just like all of that, and just seeing like how they do their changes, like how do they get from verse 1 to the chorus to verse 2, or when does the chorus come in and stuff like that, because doing like the production and structure of songwriting is really kind of for lack of a better word, gets me off musically. I say that as my wife is laying right here next to me, so that's funny. But it's just like that's what really like gets my creativity flowing, is just how do they do that? Like, what makes Blitzkrieg Bop such a great song? And is it the fact that they do that key change at the end? I don't know, but it's just like I love it. I love it for everything that is,
Yeah, absolutely.
But it's just fun to think about that stuff.
So you brought up something earlier that was definitely one of my questions for you, and that was you were talking about the reissues of the Less Than Jake records you did last year, Anthem, and then B is for B-sides, right?
Yeah.
And something I've always wondered with all these different labels like SmartPunk, where they do a reissue where obviously the record was originally issued by someone else, and with, in the case of Anthem, that's, Warner Brothers or Reprise. And how does that work, like legally? And like, I always found that fascinating.
It's licensing.
Okay.
So, I mean, pretty much anything is kind of more or less up for grabs. Like, if you can find the contact at the label or whoever is like the licensing coordinator at a label, you can hit them up and be like, hey, this is what I want to do. I'm looking to do this many copies, this colors. And they may say, absolutely not. Like, there's more work that'll go into that than we're willing to like pay for, or you don't want to like look at what that costs to get those fees done. So there's a lot of like business bullshit kind of behind it, which is, I mean, there's a lot of business bullshit in the entire music industry, but it is a long and arduous process, but the juice is worth the squeeze, I think. Like, Anthem was one of the ones that, I mean, I remember getting a promo copy of that CD that had like, you're listening to Anthem by Less Than Jake. I think I illegally downloaded it offline, and I was just like, this record's like so fucking good. Like, I can't believe it. And to be able to like now be a part of like the history of that is just like next level kind of shit. And that's what's awesome about, being in the music industry, is that you get to work with people who help shape your lives, rather, not shave your lives. And
well, they
just,
could
like,
shave you. I mean, they might be a
they
barber
could.
or something.
Not much going on. Actually, Hungover, one of our bands, Mark, the singer, is my barber. So
there you go.
That's great. See that? But yeah, reissuing is a long and crazy process. We're working on doing some more. There's a lot of really cool labels doing it now. My buddy Alex out of Cleveland has Parting Gift Records, and he's just like knocking it out of the park. My buddy Corey's doing Near Mint, and he's doing some great stuff. So it's really exciting, especially to see like all of these bands that grew up in the MySpace Pure Volume era that never got vinyl, that like now, as a 33-year-old, I'm like, oh my God, I put a hole in that CD. I listened to it so much. Like, I would love to have that. We're able to like kind of do that stuff now.
Yeah.
So it's exciting to be a part of like this whole thing.
Yeah, no, it's super exciting. And I would imagine, I suppose it's not always the case, but I would imagine with some of the bigger labels, it might be harder to get a hold of the right person to discuss licensing for that specific record, and that sort of thing. So I guess I didn't realize it was, I mean, it's not, licensing isn't simple, but I didn't realize that's what it was, and that was what I was always wondering.
The idea of it is easy. The idea is like, oh yeah, I get it. You pay a fee, and now I get to like press these records. But it's like it's so much more involved in that. And you find an email or you find someone on like Twitter and you try to DM them and they're like, hey, I really want to do this. Or you talk to the band and they're like, well, our record was sold to this label. This is the only contact we have there. They send it to somebody else. They send it to somebody else. And it's like weeks in between you hear from people. So it's just a lot of back and forth and like keeping your fingers crossed that you're going to get some stuff okayed. And then, it's like, cool. Now I got to pay up the money to make it work. And now I got to hope that it sells and
right. You make
that everyone's
right.
happy with it.
Yeah.
The easy part.
Right. The easy part. Veronica's got another good question. She said, do you all have a guilty pleasure band or song? Maybe not guilty pleasure, more so a band song people wouldn't expect you like. Or she says didn't expect to like as much as you did. That's a great question.
That's interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
I would say more recently, I guess something that I didn't expect for myself to like as much as I do. I also own a coffee shop with my buddy Tanner, who used to be in You Blew It, and he's got his toe in a lot more just like different music. And he's been showing me a lot of really cool Japanese records. And I'm like, everything from like Japanese indie rock to like Japanese like stoner metal, like just a lot of shit. And I mean, there's so many really good international bands that I think we as Americans don't ever get to focus on.
Right. Yeah.
Which is kind of a crazy thing. Like I remember going down a ska rabbit hole. Like Asian Man was talking about one band and like I went on Spotify, looked them up, looked at their related artists and like kept going down that. I just spent the whole day like being like, why did I never hear about this band or that band? Or like, and they may have only existed, playing shows in Japan for 3 years and like that they lived and died there and that was kind of it. But there's so much good music out there. And, I wish I was more well-versed in finding out about it, but there's a lot of really cool Japanese math rock stuff out there. I know that Top Shelf put out a record by this band called Toe, and it is like the perfect working music for me because it's I don't understand the words that are being sung, but it's just also beautiful and majestic, and like listening to it in headphones and hearing everything in stereo and like coming in different spots is just like cinematic almost. So yeah, that's like my chill beats to study to kind of stuff. But yeah, I mean, I think I try to be like really open to a lot of stuff. Like I grew up listening to pop music and like classic rock. My brother got me into like Green Day in '94 and like Real Big Fish in '96. So I'm super thankful for like him doing that. And I went to my first
older
show.
Brothers, man.
Dude, I mean, yeah, like he, I think, didn't know what he was doing really, and he was just like, "Oh, this is a cool cassette. We'll listen to the Blue album." I'm like, "What is this?" I'm like going back to it now and still being like, "Oh my god, I can't believe I heard this like on a cassette in 1995 in his Jeep Cherokee that he was driving around." And just like seeing the evolution of what that band became and like what they're doing now, it's just all really cool stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree, man. Yeah, it's same for me. It was just my older brother. He got me into the punk oriented genres. And it's been going on ever since. So.
I know. I can't get out of it as much as I want to. I'm like, God damn it, they still got me.
What's funny is that my brother got out of it, but I didn't. So,
oh really?
Yeah. He moved on, but I didn't. I just stuck. Yeah, I stuck with it. I couldn't get past MXPX. I just like,
It's so good.
It's so good.
It's 4 chords. It's fast. It's over in 2 minutes and 18 seconds. You get everything you want out of it, and it's like, what else do I need?
Yeah, exactly. All right, well, man, there's so many other things we could talk about, but we'll just have to save it. Just have to save it for another time, Matt.
Yeah,
This was
sorry, I just kind of like rambled on a lot.
no, no, no,
My
no, 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 no,
apologies.
no, no. You, you definitely did not ramble. I loved
Thank
everything
you.
you said was awesome and like
Awesome.
answered questions that I was thinking in my mind. So it was just great to
Cool.
actually put a face to the label
Thank
and
you.
just hear how the evolution has been going.
It's been a
Especially,
it's been
sorry.
a weird cycle that
Yeah.
we're in, but yeah, I mean, hopefully, I mean, we got a lot of releases coming out this year. We're doing a lot of events. We're coming up to Riot Fest, so when
Okay.
we're up there, if you'd like to grab some a beer or pizza, maybe some PBR, we can do that. But yeah, I mean, we're not slowing down anytime soon, which
Nice.
is exciting
Awesome,
and scary.
man. Yeah, it's right. It's all exciting and scary at once. But is
Yeah.
there any, but besides like pointing out Riot Fest, are there any other festivals or any releases or just anything smart punk in general that you want to plug or?
Sure. I mean, we're doing Riot Fest. We're doing Furnace Fest this year. We'll be there. We'll be at the Fest in Gainesville. There's like a Fest pre-show, I think, in August in Gainesville with like Brendan Kelly, Virginity, who you had on last week. They're gonna be
Yes, yeah,
playing.
they told me they were playing that. Yeah.
We have a new record from Virginity coming out soon. Their single's gonna drop. It's awesome. It's so fucking good. I love that band. Nominee from Austin, Texas. Shout out to that. They have a record coming out this year. Taking Meds has a record coming out this year. My band, Debt Neglector, we have a record coming out this year.
Oh, sweet.
A lot of stuff that has yet to be announced is all coming, which is exciting. And a lot of bands in the studio, a lot of bands finishing up stuff, and we're like working on artwork and figuring out dates and making sure the pressing plants could get it in time, because we're trying to now have records in hand kind of like around the same time that we put them on pre-order, and not have such a long pre-order if we can avoid it, just because I mean it sucks. Like I've been doing it also. It's like you order a record and 6 months later it comes in, it's like, oh, I didn't even remember I got this.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. That's a big
It's
problem.
exciting, but
At the same time, especially if it's something you've been waiting for a long time, let's say you didn't forget, you're like, man, when's my
Oh, yeah.
record coming in? Like I ordered it,
yeah.
8 months ago or 4 months ago or whatever, whenever it was.
And it
So,
sucks. Like I wish I was like involved with making it. I wish I could be like, hey, I'm sorry because this is what happened. But it's like the pressing plant, when they get back to me, I'm like, okay, well, here's our update.
Yeah.
And we try to let customers know as best as we can.
Yeah.
But it's an art, you can't rush art.
No.
You got to just let it come.
That just always makes me think. I've been watching a lot of Toy Story lately with my son, and
Oh.
that's actually a line in the second movie. Is when
Mhm.
the old man is repairing Woody's arm that got ripped off. Um, the owner of the doll or whatever of Woody, he's like asking him like, how long is it gonna take? And he's like, you can't rush art, just like that.
Yeah.
And I always just think of that anytime someone says that. I just think of that old man stitching up Woody's
So fun.
arm.
It's true.
Oh yeah, absolutely, yeah. All right,
crazy.
Matt.
Yeah.
Well, it was so great finally meeting you, and
Likewise. Thank you so much.
yeah, thanks for being on, and just gonna keep my eyes peeled for all that smart punk record gold coming out.
Yeah.
So,
We got a lot coming, so keep your ear holes open for that.
you betcha, man. All right, well, have a great
dude.
rest of the night.
You too. Hopefully
Thank
see
you.
you soon.
Yeah, I hope so.
Take care.
All right, bye.
All right. Bye.
Okay, thank you so much. We'll give him another round of applause. That was awesome. Matt Burns manager. I think I might have said owner before, which I guess I was under the impression that he was the owner, but I guess he's just more of the manager and makes sure things are running. Matt Burns of SmartPunk Records. You can, by the way, go to smartpunk.com and check out everything that SmartPunk has going on right now. They've got their full roster up there. They've got, obviously, their record store, all that fun stuff, smartpunk.com. And that wraps up this live stream episode of Pop Punk and Pizza. I'm Jacques Lamour. Thank you so much for being here, downloading, listening, watching, however it is that you're consuming this podcast right now. Thank you, because without you, I would not be able to continue to do what I love each and every week. Now, please show some love to our sponsors as well. We are presented by Pop Punk Takeout. You can go to poppunktakeout.com. Make sure you follow them on socials at Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok at Pop Punk Takeout. And then, of course, Mike Henneberger and his mixtape memoir, Rock Bottom at the Renaissance. The audiobook is narrated by Tyler Posey. You can go to rockbottombook.com to get the links for that. And then if you want to stay up to date on everything Pop Punk and Pizza related, you can hit up poppunkpizzapod.com. You can listen to previous episodes there, but you can also find your favorite podcast app that you can listen to those episodes on, obviously. And then we have merch. You can sign up for our mailing list. If you do buy merch, make sure you use that promo code POPPUNK for $2 off your order. And if you're in a band, you want to get your music played on the show, or possibly for an interview or a chat, you can, there's a form that you can fill out there to contact me about that. And if you want to become a sponsor as well, there's a contact form for that. In fact, our sponsorship program is going to be changing here soon and kind of upgrading and getting more for our Pop Punk and Pizza sponsors. So all that fun stuff at poppunkpizzapod.com. And then you can follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Pop Punk Pizza Pod. Now, next week, we are going to be inviting Kevin Lyman, the guy who famously founded the Vans Warped Tour. He is going to be joining us on the show, along with the band called College Radio. So that'll be live on our Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch at 7 p.m. Central Time, Wednesday, July 7th. And if you can't catch the live stream, then you can just catch the podcast version the following day. So the live stream is always every Wednesday, 7 p.m. Central Time, and then the podcast version goes up every single Thursday. So have a great rest of the week. Have a great 4th of July. I completely forgot about that. It's the last day of June, and don't blow off any, of your fingers or limbs or anything like that, all right? If you're shooting off fireworks, just be extra careful, because I care about you. I want you to stay intact all in one piece, because, you want to be able to feed yourself that pizza, right? It's just more satisfying that way. At least I think so. So anyway, have a great rest of the night.
Hey, hello, it's nice to meet ya. Hey, come in and have a slice of pizza. Hey, hello, it's nice to meet ya. Hey, come in and have a slice of pizza.